Welcome back to breaking news coverage of President Trump's firing of his Attorney General Jeff Sessions. The two men had been at odds over Sessions' decision to listen to the ethics lawyers at the Department of Justice and recuse himself from the Russia investigation. Joining me on the phone is Democratic Senator Mazie Hirono of Hawaii. She serves on the Senate Judiciary Committee, and she was reelected last night with, I think, just 71% of the vote. Senator, congratulations. Your reaction,
Thank you very much.
Your reaction to today's developments?
It didn't take long for the president to act immediately to protect himself, because it's always about him all the time, every time. So first he fires Jeff Sessions, and then he names Matthew Whitaker as the acting attorney general. Very, very troubling, knowing Mr. Whitaker's views about the investigation. So I think it's, it raises, of course, a conflict of interest with regard to Whitaker, and it certainly goes to the obstruction of justice by the president. So this is why Congress has to pass legislation to protect the Mueller investigation.
So you and your colleagues on the Senate Judiciary Committee already passed out of the committee legislation to protect Mueller. Senator
Yes.
Mitch McConnell, the majority leader, did not bring it up. I think he said he didn't feel there was any need to do so. Do you believe that there will be any appetite by Republicans to do so? And will there be perhaps a push by somebody like you or others to do so before the end of this Congress, when you lose even more seats in January?
Well, we passed the Mueller investigation basically to protect any special counsel out of the Judiciary Committee in a bipartisan way. And the only reason that McConnell didn't bring it on the floor was he says, oh, well, we don't need to do that because nothing's going to happen to Mueller. And I don't know what it's going to take. Maybe a ton of bricks has to fall on McConnell's head before he realizes or recognizes what is actually going on. So certainly I expect that the Democrats in the Senate, as well as the Democrats in the House, will push to protect the Mueller investigation, because that has to go on. And the president's actions are so blatantly political to protect himself that, as I said, it didn't take long for him to do it.
Obviously, your party's your powers as being part of the party, the minority party in the Senate, are limited compared to your Democratic colleagues in the House, who are going to soon have the majority. What do you want them to do that you are not able to do?
Certainly, they'll be able to investigate what's going on with the president. And my friend Jerry Nadler, with whom I served for 6 years in the U.S. House, I know that he has already said that he wants to know what the president's motives are. I think we can pretty much conclude what his motives are, and that is to protect himself. So I expect Jerry Nadler to be chairing the Judiciary Committee in the House, and then to proceed with what he needs to do to get to the bottom of this and to protect the Mueller investigation.
Do you think that this is where it ends, that he appoints Matthew Whitaker as acting Attorney General, and Whitaker maybe tries to shrink or contract the bounds of the Mueller investigation, or do you fear that more is going to happen?
I think as long as the Mueller investigation continues, that this is yet more actions by the president that goes to obstruction of justice.
Doesn't President Trump have the right to have as Attorney General whoever he sees fit, as long as that person is ultimately confirmed by the Senate?
I think motives matter, and this is why the obstruction of justice is such a big issue for Mueller. And obstruction of justice is really, it's a pattern. It's a cumulative effect of all of the actions that the president takes, the motives behind those actions. And if he were just doing this as one-off, then maybe so, but it's not. If it's a pattern of obstruction, there's no question that he's been wanting to end the Mueller investigation from the very beginning, calling it a witch hunt. So in spite of the fact that the Russians interfered not only with the 2016 elections, but this election, 2018 elections, the president is totally motivated by the desire to protect himself. I hope everybody gets that.
So your leader, the Senate Minority Leader, Democrat Chuck Schumer, says that the interim Attorney General, the acting Attorney General, Matt Whitaker, should recuse himself from the Russia investigation because he has said things about how he thinks that the Russia investigation could theoretically be starved of funding, or it needs to be limited in scope. First of all, why would he need to recuse himself? I understand why you don't trust him to lead the investigation, but is there actually like a legal or ethical reason why he would need to do so?
There are some parameters to when a recusal is required, which is what led to Jeff Sessions' recusal. So Whitaker made statements such as it would be out of bounds for the Mueller investigation to go into Trump's family and his own finances, and that it wasn't a problem for the Trump people to take the Trump Tower meeting. So these are all matters of interest, and
but surely he's allowed to have an opinion. He's
be.
allowed to have an opinion on these matters. And does his expression of those opinions mean that he needs to? I'm not an attorney. You are. So is there some sort of legal reason why somebody who expresses an opinion could therefore not supervise an investigation about the opinion of which he talked about?
When you express an opinion, that's fine, but when you put it in the context that he is actually going to be the person making decisions and overseeing the Mueller investigation, that is an entirely different proposition altogether. So it's a free country. Anybody can express themselves, but he's going to be making decisions that will ultimately impact the Mueller investigation. And I think that if this isn't a basis for recusal, I don't know what recusal means, frankly.
Senator, I just want to ask you one more question about the results last night. I know you're upset that many of your friends, Democratic senators, were not reelected. What do you make of those who say that Democrats overreached when it came to the Kavanaugh hearings, and that hurt people such as Heidi Heitkamp in North Dakota, Joe Donnelly in Indiana, and Claire McCaskill in Missouri?
I said that there are battles worth fighting, and definitely Judge Kavanaugh, even before Dr. Ford came over, had a record of being against a women's right to choose, reproductive rights, environmental protections. There were any number of reasons to not be for him. And, of course, when Dr. Ford came forward and how she was treated by the Judiciary Committee, that should have been a total red flag. And as I said, it's bad enough that we have one person on the Supreme Court with this kind of clout, and now we have another. The Supreme Court should be above reproach. And now I believe that you have two people on the Supreme Court who are not above reproach, and that does not do the court any good. So, my friends who lost took principal positions, and I totally respect their courage for it, and I wish other people would do the same thing.